The next sutta is Samyutta Nikaya 22.122. Once the Venerable Sariputta and the Venerable Mahakotita were staying at Benares in Isipatana in the deer park. Then the Venerable Mahakotita, rising in the evening from his solitude, came to the Venerable Sariputta and thus addressed him. I'll just stop here for a moment. We find in the suttas that the daily life of the monks during the Buddha's time was that they go for alms round in the morning. They go and gather their food. And then coming back from alms round, they eat the food either in the monastery or they go into the forest to eat their food. And after eating their food, they take some rest. And then the rest of the day, they sit in meditation. Later, when the sun set, they would come together. They would come to the most senior monk and discuss Dhamma. Discussion of Dhamma was very important during the Buddha's time. Whether the monks were already arahants or they were not yet arahants, still they come together to discuss the Dhamma. So here the Venerable Mahakotita came to see the Venerable Sariputta and addressed him. Avuso Sariputta. Avuso is sometimes translated as reverend or friend. What are the conditions, Dhamma, that should be thoroughly pondered by a virtuous monk? And the Venerable Sariputta answered, the 5 aggregates of attachment, friend Kotita, are the conditions which should be thoroughly pondered by a virtuous monk as being impermanent, as suffering, as a disease, as a tumor, as a dart, as a calamity, as an affliction, as alien, as disintegrating, as empty, as not self. What 5 aggregates? The aggregate of body, feeling, perception, volition, consciousness. By a virtuous monk, friend Kotita, these 5 aggregates of attachment should be thoroughly pondered. Indeed, friend, it is possible for a virtuous monk, so thoroughly pondering these 5 aggregates of attachment, to realize the fruits of stream winning. I just stop here for a moment. So, here, Venerable Sariputta is saying that ordinary monk, a Putujana monk, if he contemplates the 5 aggregates of attachment, it is possible for him to realize Sotapanna, stream winning. Now, the Venerable Sariputta said that a monk should contemplate the 5 aggregates with these following characteristics. This is quite important here. As being impermanent, as suffering, as a disease, as a tumor, as a dart, as a calamity, an affliction, as alien, as disintegrating, as empty, as not self. The first one, impermanent. I think you all can know the impermanent nature of the body, of feelings, perception, volition, consciousness. As suffering because if we attach to them, they give us suffering. For example, the body. The body, because of its impermanent nature, will grow old. And when the body grows old, some people don't like to grow old. And then they lament over the fact that they are growing old. And if they attach to the body, then they would suffer. They are unhappy, they are growing older and older, looking uglier and uglier. And also, if the body one day were to die, either their own body or, for example, their child's body were to die, then if they attach to it, then it gives them suffering. So it's a source of suffering. As a disease, because it is liable to sickness, this kind of disease. And also, if you have too much attachment, for example, to feelings, if you want to have pleasant feelings, and you are too attached to pleasant feelings, then it is a kind of sickness. For example, like sensual desire. Sensual desire arises because of the pleasure that arises from body. So if you are too much attached to sensual desire, then it is a kind of disease where you try to satisfy this desire, and you go to quite out of your way to try to satisfy this desire. Then it becomes a sickness, a disease. As a tumor or cancer, we don't need a doctor to tell us that we have cancer. All of us have cancer, because any time we can die. We have a very limited lifespan. On the average, we live up to 70. So, since the body is going to die, and we don't even know when it is going to die, it is as though we have cancer. As a dart is like an arrow that pokes you. The 5 aggregates, our body and our mind, gives us suffering. And the body gives you bodily suffering. The mind gives you mental suffering. And some people, if they use their mind too much, they have a lot of mental suffering. That's why, like 2 years ago when I was in Australia, I found a lot of white Australians, they like to meditate. Not that they are interested in Buddhism. At first, they come in because they have a lot of mental suffering, because they use their mind too much. So they want to ease their mental suffering, they want to come and learn meditation. Later, if they make some progress in the meditation, then they become interested in Buddhism. And they come to listen to the Dhamma. And slowly, after listening to the Dhamma, they might say that they have become a Buddhist. So as a calamity, because any time we can pass away, it is a source of suffering. As an affliction, this is like a sickness. As alien, this alien is quite interesting. The Buddha is telling us that the 5 aggregates, the body and the mind, is something like alien, external to us. This we might be able to understand if we meditate, and our mind becomes calmer and calmer and calmer. As our mind becomes calmer and calmer and more tranquil, we go deeper and deeper into our mind. As we go deeper and deeper into our mind, slowly the body begins to fade away. The body begins to fade away from us, and the mind also begins to fade away from us as we go deeper and deeper into ourselves. And slowly the whole world begins to fade away from us. And then we realize that this body and this mind and all this world is as though alien to us, external to us, as we go deeper and deeper into our mind. As disintegrating, as something that is breaking up. We know that the body is breaking up. As empty. Empty, why? There is no essence in the body and the mind. Later you will find some similes for the 5 khandhas that the Buddha gave. And you can see how apt it is. For example, the body is made up of cells. Millions and millions of cells. And these cells are arising and passing away, arising and passing away. No 2 moments is the body the same. And every 7 years, according to scientists, the cells in our body are completely changed every 7 years. So this body that you're carrying about with you now is completely different from the body you were having 7 years ago. Just imagine, this body that you have is completely different from the body you had 7 years ago. And as the cells in our body die and we shed them, in a way we are like a snake. You know, a snake, every now and then it's got to change its skin. Why? because it has to grow in size. As it grows in size, then the skin is no more suitable for it, so it starts to shed the skin. And then it throws away the skin, and then it grows a new skin which is slightly bigger so that it can accommodate itself. So in the same way, we are slowly shedding ourselves part by part, and slowly over 7 years we completely change the whole body. So you can see that the body, because it consists of all these cells, it is of the nature of emptiness. In fact, later if I go into this more in detail, then you will understand it even better. Or in fact, I can go into it now. Why is this empty? Because besides these cells, when you look into these cells, what do you find? In every cell, you have atoms, right? Cells are made up of atoms. Perhaps a whole lot of atoms. I don't know how many in each cell, but there will be a lot of atoms. So basically, our whole body is made up of billions and billions of atoms, right? And every atom is a huge void in which particles of energy are moving to and fro, right? Particles of energy are moving to and fro. Just like you look into the sky at night. When you look into the sky at night, you find that most of the space, outer space, is empty, except for some stars and planets here and there, right? You could say that 99.999999% of it is empty. So in the same way, every cell in our body, every atom in our body, 99.999999% of the atom is empty. In other words, our body, which is made up of all these atoms, is no different from the air around us. No different from the air around us. And because it is no different from the air around us, the Buddha and his Arahant disciples, they, understanding this knowledge, they can walk through walls and all that. Anyway, this is a different matter. So, this body, which is 99.99999%, is actually empty. And formerly, scientists, they did not understand this. But now, it appears that scientists are beginning to understand that this 99.99999% emptiness is not really empty, but it is consciousness. Consciousness. And because of that, our mind affects our whole body. In other words, we are consciousness. And whatever you think affects your whole body. That is why mind is so powerful. Mind is that which we try to understand in the Buddha's teachings. So how is it that we see ourselves as a human body? The Buddha says because we are dreaming. Consciousness, because of karma, the consciousness makes you see yourself as a solid human being with a head, 2 hands, 2 feet. Another day, if you work some evil karma and you pass away from this life, then your consciousness will make you see yourself perhaps as an animal, walking on all fours, with a tail. So that is why later we find in the suttas, the Buddha said, consciousness is like a conjurer. It conjures up a magic show. One lifetime after another lifetime is like a magic show. You see yourself as one person, and then that dream ends, and then another dream begins, and you see another lifetime before you. So from this you can see how the 5 aggregates are empty. And then the last one, as not self. As not self. This not self, anatta, means there is no abiding, there's no thing that is unchanging in the body and the mind. This body and the mind is always changing in a state of flux. That is why there is no something that is permanent, unchanging. That is why the Buddha says it is not self. Sometimes this word anatta is translated as non-self, but I think probably not self is more accurate. Now the sutta continues, Mahakotita asking the Venerable Sariputta again, but friend Sariputta, what are the things that should be thoroughly pondered by a monk who is a stream winner? And Venerable Sariputta said, by a monk who is a stream winner, friend Kotita, it is these same 5 aggregates of attachment that should be so pondered. Indeed, friend, it is possible for a monk who is a stream winner, by so pondering these 5 aggregates of attachment, to realize the fruits of one's returning sakadagamin, which means the second fruition. But friend Sariputta, what are the things that should be thoroughly pondered by a monk who is a once returner, sakadagamin? By one who is a once returner, friend Kotita, it is these same 5 aggregates of attachment that should be thoroughly pondered. Indeed, it is possible, friend, for one who is a once returner, by so pondering, to realize the fruits of non-returning, anagamin, third fruition. But friend Sariputta, what are the things that should be thoroughly pondered by one who is a non-returner, anagamin? And Venerable Sariputta answered, by such a one, friend Kotita, it is these same 5 aggregates of attachment that should be so pondered. It is possible, friend, for a non-returner, anagamin, by so pondering, to realize the fruits of arahantship, that is the 4th fruition. But what, friend Sariputta, are the things that should be thoroughly pondered by one who is arahant? By an arahant, friend Kotita, these 5 aggregates of attachment should be thoroughly pondered as being impermanent, as suffering, as a disease, as a tumor, as a dart, as a calamity, as an affliction, as disintegrating, as empty, as not self. For the arahant, friend, there is nothing further to be done, nor is there return to upheaping of what is done. Nevertheless, these things, if practiced and developed, conduce to a happy existence and to self-possession even in this present life. That is the end of the sutta. So, in the last part of the sutta that I've read, the Arahant Sariputta is saying that in the whole sutta, the Arahant Sariputta is saying that if a monk is a putujana, an ordinary monk, if he contemplates on the 5 aggregates, it is possible he attains the first fruition. And a first fruition monk should also contemplate on the 5 aggregates. And in so doing, he can attain the second fruition, sakadagamin. And a second fruition monk should also ponder on the 5 aggregates, so that he can attain the third fruition. And the third fruition monk should also ponder on the 5 aggregates to attain the 4th fruition, arahanthood. And so you can see how important the 5 aggregates are, so that at every stage of the Aryan path, the person should ponder on these 5 aggregates.